the things I'm going to be talking about are going to be maybe ways that will shape the way that we work, and maybe they may happen, they may not. So a few caveats at the beginning is first of all, anytime you get into predictions, those are inherently tricky because they may or may not come true, and these are just simply some things, some trends I think we should watch and have in our minds as we think about doing things like building our teams and working together. But the thing about the trends is that many of them are external, and we're not going to have any control over these, but at the same time, they may shape what we do. I think of the book that Thomas Friedman wrote a few years back that became very popular, The World is Flat. And one of the points he made in that book was that a lot of what happened to flatten our world and the way that we work together worldwide was actually a convergence of some key things together. And I think that may be the biggest thing that we look at here, are if any of these things start combining together, we may see some unpredictable results even. So here are a few of the trends that I plan to discuss in November, and my time is going to be fairly short today because I'm just going to focus in on one of these trends. The first one is the aging baby boomer generation, and this is the one that I'm going to spend a little bit more time on today. Another one would be a variety of new technologies that can come along. One of the big ones right now that is kind of rippling through is service-oriented architecture. Another would be the new and increased security concerns. It seems like, computer security is one of those areas that just when you think you have it nailed down, something else comes up. As we say, it's like nailing Jell-O to a tree or gelatin to a tree. It just won't stay put. The hackers and the crackers are always getting more creative in what they're doing. And, of course, we as developers and testers, we unwittingly help them sometimes because of the way that the vulnerabilities continue to be in software, which are basically the defects that people can exploit. Also, economic concerns. I don't think I need to elaborate on this right now because this is on the front of everyone's mind, or it seems like a lot of people's mind, and worldwide we're seeing a lot of questions about the economy, how sustainable it is, and I think with energy and all that, it's affecting each and every one of us. Those kind of things are also going to be things that we're concerned with as they ripple through our teams. And, you may wonder, well, how does the economy impact testing? Well, if your company is having to cut staff because of the economy, then all of a sudden it impacts you in a big way. In fact, the thing that I think for so many years we've suffered from is that testing and QA being one of those first-to-go kind of areas in an organization. Sometimes training is cut before testing, but still we've kind of seen this historically as a reality. I hope we don't see it again, but the thing that we need to pull around from in this is that we need to be constantly thinking about how do we make our value message to management, and to do that proactively, not wait until the issue comes up. Another area is outsourcing. Now, of course, this is not a new area, but as we look at what the development of emerging economies will do and developing nations, kind of an interesting thing there that now we're seeing some of the countries that have been outsourced in the past now outsourcing to other companies. So it's like it's becoming a multi-layer thing. So I'm going to, in November, explore a little bit more about how this could impact testing. And then the idea of virtualization, I think, holds a lot of promise to what we do in testing, because in the past, people would complain about not being able to achieve very robust test environments. And, of course, your test is only as good as the environment that it's in. And so now we have this idea of virtualization. Well, and it's a great promise, but there's also some things behind that that needs to be in place to make that a reality for us. And so just exploring what it's going to take to make virtualization a reality as to getting good test environments will be another thing. And also, maybe, just maybe, we may be seeing some advances in test automation to the point that we can say, yes, it can work for even more people than it has in the past. It's kind of interesting. Test automation has been around for quite some time. I guess safely we could say at least 20 years. And in that time, we've seen some people become really successful at automating their testing and others still struggling. And, in fact, I've come up with my own top 10 list of the challenges of test automation. Many of you know my background in writing the top 10 book of software testing in general. I had to struggle to hold it to 10 items just in test automation that people struggle with there. But I think some interesting things are happening now that might make test automation more achievable. I think James brings up the very good point that, we need insight into the things that we're testing just so that we can get hooked into those things and that we can kind of see some things. And I think some of the recent ways that people have been applying automation with things such as fit and fitness have given us some ways to gain insight into the application. But anyway, that's kind of my short list. That there could be more that I have on the plate come November. But the one I want to talk about for just a moment here is the aging baby boomer generation. Now, of course, in the U.S., this is the term that we're all familiar with. It may not be the case in all countries. In the UK, it's a situation. It was also a reality for them. But the thing is that there was this big bubble of people that were born between about 1946 and the early 60s, basically post-World War II. And the reason this is an issue is because that now we're starting to see the beginning of this huge population start to enter into retirement. Now, the thing about it is that history has shown that people tend to be at their peak spending years around age 50, and that drives a huge amount of the economy. And when that spending starts to be focused in other areas, then it's going to shape what our companies are doing, what our companies are selling, what they're successful or not successful at, where the wealth is held. You'll see on the slide that one study showed that back in 2004 in the UK, baby boomers held about 80% of the wealth and bought about 80% of all the upper-end cars, 80% of the cruises, 50% of the skincare products. I'm not even going to go into all the medications that we're going to need. But we as boomers, and I say we because I'm in that group, we buy a lot of things, but we're also a major force in the workplace. When you think about it, this is the same population group that have 30 years plus experience in IT. We understand how the systems work in our companies. We're that old programmer down the hall that you always have to go to ask a question about something. And when we think about what's going to happen with this generation, I don't want this to be, this is not some kind of dire prediction, but once these people start leaving, then we need to understand what's going to happen with that knowledge, and more so, what's going to happen to the way that these people influence the workplace that we have right now. Now, I think reality is some folks are going to leave and never return back to the workplace simply because they say, yeah, testing is great, development is great, but hey, I want to go fishing now, or something like that, and they're going to go and have an enjoyable retirement and spend their life in peace and not chase bugs anymore. Others, perhaps kind of like myself, see what I do is really enjoyable, and I don't want to just totally leave it. I would like to be able to contribute in some way. And so you might find that some folks are going to transition into some kind of part-time role, kind of like a consulting kind of thing, at least for some period of time. It may be for a variety of reasons. One might be the enjoyment of the job. One might be the need to supplement income, any number of things. But because here in the U.S., one of the big concerns is that this population is also going to ripple through the retirement funding. And the reality is that the boomers have been kind of remiss in putting up money for retirement. So, instead of maybe being a greeter at Walmart or someplace or at a store, we may be actually doing something productive with our systems and things. So almost one thing that we get universal agreement on, though, is that how people approach retirement will redefine a lot of things about what we do in our company, and especially when it comes into to working as teams. Now, one of the things that we know as testers is a lot of the knowledge that we need, and I totally agree with James that this information that we need is key in testing. A lot of what we are looking for is undocumented. A lot of it is in people's informal knowledge, in other words, in their heads, and I don't believe we'll ever really get it documented, and even if we could get it documented, it's probably going to change next week to some degree. So we need to understand that there's this knowledge base that we're going to have to capture, and now is the time really to do that to the best that we can, whether it be through mentoring or whether it be through knowledge capture of some form. So this retiring generation will include a lot of people, not just testers, software developers as well as end users. The end users, I think, is an interesting perspective, too, because this is where a lot of the domain knowledge resides and a lot of the business knowledge that we're going to have to really be concerned with as well. We're also going to have new people entering into the field. Now, of course, this certainly isn't new because testing is one of those fields that has had a lot of what I would call churn in it, where we get new people into the profession all the time. And certainly that's a good thing, but it also has some concerns with it, such as how do we bring these people up to speed? How do they learn, what testing is all about? But what is new is that we may be losing or start seeing the loss of a lot of the people that we've seen as mentors in our company in the past, which means then that those of you who are listening to this that are in your 20s and 30s and into your 40s, that you're going to be the future mentors of the new people coming into the workplace, people who have traditionally been mentored by people in the baby boom generation. One other thing also is that hopefully this will bring to bear some fresh techniques. To me, this is a very hopeful thing because, this is the new blood. We've done things in certain ways over the years because simply that's the way we've done them, and that's the way we've known to do them. And so new people thinking in new ways, I think, is a good thing because we always need better ways to test. It may not be some just innovative approach, but it could be just some realization that, the basics are the basics. How do we extend them? How do we make them better? And so I think as we start seeing this, we're going to see some unpredictable things come to pass, which I think are going to be exciting, maybe ways to apply automation, ways to see what we might think of now as test cases, new ways to achieve tooling, and so forth. So that's what I have for today. To hear a lot more about all of these in the keynote session, I hope you guys can all come to EuroSTAR 2008 in The Hague in the Netherlands. It's going to be a great time. We're going to hopefully be able to talk about what we do as testers today and get our maybe get our glasses on for the future and see what we can see a little bit down the road from it. So I appreciate your being in on the call today. I'm going to hand it back over now to Susan or Bob, whoever is there.